Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Monday morning. How's everyone doing? Hey, Sterling had to search again for the live stream. Well, we'll figure out something. It's a 3-week countdown till when there'll be a pause in the live streams, and then we'll figure out a solution after that. 3 weeks to go. Starting the week of April 15th, there will be no live streams guaranteed that week because if I can do something for my phone or something, we'll see. But I'll be driving packing up. The moving people come, and I'll be packing up and heading cross country with the doggies. So we shall see. Bostic repeated one rate cut. Good morning, John. So put that on your calendar. Don't be shocked when there is no live stream that week, and also there'll still be a live stream. It's Good Friday. This Friday, stock market is closed. Futures have shortened trading hours. But there will still be a live stream. Why? Because if we scroll down, there are the PCE numbers. The PCE numbers still coming out on Friday, and Powell speaking. So it will be an interesting Friday. Let's see what else. What else do we have? Let's to slow inflation to slow gradually. Well, I'm not even going to comment on Boston. I'm not going to comment on the Fed. They're sort of driving me crazy. Patrick, good morning. Yeah, the CEO of Boeing is stepping down. Good morning, Mark. Price target major downgrade, another downgrade to Tesla, chasing the price down. Good morning, Jacob. What else do we have? NVIDIA, I didn't see it that negative. I mean, it's barely negative, but AMD and Intel are a lot more negative. It seems like it's still buy NVIDIA and sell the other chips at this point. Good morning, Martinez. Good morning, Heinrich. Hello, hello, Christoph. Grand Rising, Christoph. We have Christoph and Christoph back to back, and Anissa. Good morning. All right. So we already had Bostic speaking this morning. We had the Chicago Fed National Activity Index forecast of minus 0.9 coming in at positive 0.05. So slight bump up there. We got new home sales coming out at 9 Central, Dallas Fed at 9:30 Central, and Cook speaking at 9:30 Central, and then we just have some bill and note auctions. So it's overall a quiet day. I don't know what the Fed can say. It's going to really change things. But once you settle down, could you consider going back to streaming twice a day? We will take a look at it. Or we will figure out something that's just time consuming for me, so it might have to be some inexpensive subscription model or something if you want the twice a day, but we'll take a look at it. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, McRangers. Tomorrow we got durable goods. We got the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. We got consumer confidence. We got Richmond Fed and services and Dallas Services Index. Remember, Dallas manufacturing's today. Dallas services are tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, manufacturing's today. Wednesday's pretty quiet. We mortgage stuff for the crude traders. It's not because you got the EIA numbers. Thursday, heading into Good Friday, but Thursday we got the GDP, the final numbers for Q4, the final PCE prices for Q4. That remember, that's for the backwards looking for the whole Q4. We got the inflation, consumer sentiment numbers and everything, inflation numbers coming out on Thursday because Friday is a holiday, but they're still releasing PCEs on Friday. As far as I know, that has not changed. So that's where we have PCEs, and these numbers are for February. So not the fourth quarter, but these are the numbers for just last month, that's why these are the ones that really matter. So that's why it's back weighted this week in terms of news coming out and economic events. Let's just do a quick refresh here. NVIDIA down 17 basis points, 18 basis points. But look, AMD, Intel, everything else is getting sold off that news. Intel and NVIDIA is still holding up. But the mega caps are all negative a bit this morning. We started to pull back at least on Friday. There's your bounce from Boeing CEO stepping down, but Boeing up close to 4%. Oil, a little stronger today. Groups, do another quick refresh. We got technology and comm services pulling back. We got energy and basic materials leading. Fed watch, we still have the 3 cuts priced in with a pause still in May. Fear and greed still at the upper end of greed. So still market, even with this little mini pullback and only in greed mode. In terms of earnings, very quiet week in earnings. We got GameStop, if that still matters. Is GameStop still a thing after close on Tuesday? But really, I guess we got Rumble. There's just really nothing that's going to be market moving. Walgreens, Boots. But this is just a very quiet week. So nothing to really talk about there. But let's see who else is jumping in. Let's see. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Legion Reaver. I'm showing the futures will be closed out. Will they? I'll check. They might be. It might be closed. I might be wrong. So we'll have to see with the PCE numbers coming out. We can still review stuff. Thank you, Royal Palms. I didn't even look yet. Sorry, I'll have to look. Well, I'll update you tomorrow. Good morning. Good morning, Office 22. Yes, there is a double top finally in NVIDIA. There is. Right now, the key area I'll be watching this week is if we close below 52.26 on a closing basis. The short-term area I'm watching is about 52.65 to about 52.57 for a continued pullback. So that's the real key. That would reconnect it with the daily rotation zone. And you see the last couple bounces we've had, we've just dipped in the daily rotation zone and then bounced. The 50% retrace from Friday up to last Thursday, that's Friday the 15th to last Thursday the 21st, is 52.45. So if we continue to drop over the next couple days, the major first area, if we go through the rotation zone, the major first area we'll start watching for a key bounce will be 52.45. But if we close below 52.26, I'll focus on the bigger pullback. Remember, we are still very overbought. Cycles at the top, but starting to turn down finally, running out of momentum up here. Also a reminder to reconnect with the weekly rotation zone. It's about 51.60. 51.60 is close to the lows from Friday, March 15th. So we'll have to see. Maybe we'll get a pullback all the way there. Maybe making a head and shoulders top. We'll have to see if we get a bigger topping pattern on a pullback. Today, going into the open, really, if we start breaking down, it's that 52.65 area. I'm going to be watching if we hold this little channeling pullback. I mean, we're trying to push below it, but anything would be for a bounce play only. The areas about 52.85, 52.84 to 52.85, and then your key, very key areas 52.90. 52.90 is significant resistance. Hey, Chris Plummer, how you doing? Hello, Charles. Good morning, George. Interesting, Jacob. I don't even know. Don't even know. All right, NASDAQ. The key areas. We're closing in on that 18,445. 18,445 to about 18,415 will be where I'm watching today should it continue the pullback. Over the next couple days, 18,357, 75 starts the 50% retracement from the lows on the 15th to the highs again on the 21st. And then the key closing area is 18,269.75 on a continued pullback. But anywhere between 18,357 and 18,269 is the major reversal zone. Excuse me. If you see here on the weekly, what's interesting is the cycles have come down on the NASDAQ, but nowhere near the bottom yet, and slightly out of overbought. And the weekly rotation zone is right now about 18,150 area. Going into the day, watching right around this 18,445, 18,450 for support. Resistance areas on the NASDAQ. Major resistance coming in about 18,500 to 18,512. All right, let's just see on a continued bounce here. The major area you really need to watch for in order to get anything besides short-term intraday more bullish for me is 18,600 area, because this is probably going to come down a bit. It's going to be watching 18,600, and we'll clarify that with this week. What else do we have here? Looking at the Dow. The key support area, the 50% in daily rotation zone is right at this 39,675 area, 682 actually. So I'll be watching that for the key first support. The closing basis is 39,524. We drop below that, I'll start focusing on a bigger pullback. And the key resistance area I'm looking for is about 40,000. Russell, again, this is minor because the rotation zone's still in a consolidation pattern, but today's low is essentially about 28.90. We drop below that. The next key area is about 20.75 to about 20.68. You start losing 20.68, I'm watching for a reconnect, especially excuse me, with the 50 EMA. Excuse me. All right. To the upside. Wow. 2103. 2103. Move's going fine. We keep packing, getting all ready for the moving van, picking up on the 15th of April. VIX. Gap up this morning. But again, 1375 is key to watch for the bigger sell-off. So far, retracing a bit. So if it keeps pulling back, we'll watch for a choppier day. If it starts going above 1375, we'll act looking for a more trend to the negative day. DAX, this is really sort of, I wish it was a proper wedge pattern, but it's not. I mean, it's a shorter term little wedge here that looks like it's breaking down, but I'd be keeping an eye really if that trend line starts breaking, and then if it starts closing below about 18,370, start potentially watching for a bigger pullback in the DAX, at least to the possibly the 18,300 level, and then possibly a bounce, and then we'll figure out the rollover pattern from there. But nothing, there's no fantastic pattern just yet. Notes, still just a bounce back to the prior breakdown area from the double top, channeling double top. I'll be watching for a rollover and a move below Friday's low. Actually, I'll be watching, for a move below Friday's low, especially. That is at 110.12.5. It's easier to see on the yields. Be watching for a bounce. Today would be a bounce above Friday's, but this could be setting up with cycles getting back to the bottom. Could be setting up for a potential %B buy on tomorrow, unless we really rally today and take out Friday's high and close above it. So we'll keep a close eye on that, but back to roughly the trigger point for the double. Remember, the yields have still not hit the stop reduction. And it's also, we're going to see what pattern this is changing into, but this is a very key level of support. That's why I'm keeping a close eye on that. Nothing to talk about with the 10-2s. Dollar index, little pullback, but dollar index, remember Thursday, closed above the 62.5. Friday, taking out the 75. Still the magnet price is this 104.26, 27 area. So we'll be watching for key support at 103.60. Crude, keeping an eye on Friday's high. A close above that is a %B buy. So I'm watching that intraday. So far, it's stalled out just below that. Other than that, the key support level is 80. A close below 80, I'll start focusing on a pullback closer to the 78.35 to 78.50 level. Gold, after the big reversal back down on Friday, still holding key support. 2140 is the key line in the sand. We get below 2140, then I'll start watching for the bigger pullback. Still, it's tried to spike up and break out, made new highs, and then got smacked back down. But there's no great setup right there just yet. Silver, same thing, the smack back down after hitting the 87.5. So, other than that, just keeping an eye on 24.47 on a closing basis in silver. The yen still basing. This is getting extended on the 4-hour. There's getting extended. So unless this triggers like today with a close below 150.26, this will be too far extended to the right. But that's the only minor pullback pattern in the yen right now. So that's really about it. And your major support is in front of that level at 150.80. Euro, again, coming down, not closing below the 62.5 on Friday, and a slight bounce. But the major resistance, minors is 108.35. Major resistance is 108.60. So still going to be watching to see if we roll over and close below 108. The spiders with the gap down today. Key resistance first off. The key first area of resistance is about 520.50. Above that, if it does a rally back, then the gap fill is 521.21. The key support area is about 518.30 to 517.70, where I'll be watching if it continues a pullback. That's the major support area, at least in the short term. Below that, you have 516.29 and 514.33. 514.33 is key on a closing basis this week. Just buy. It works 99. I don't agree with the 99% of the time, Coco, but I'm glad you're tuning in again. We'll have to look at GME at some point. Qs, so this still has a gap fill, 443.77. We're trading 443.94. So any weakness into the open, I'd be looking at that 443.77 area. And then 442.60. 442, about 30 to 442.60 is key for the first level support. 441.04, 438.97 is key on a closing basis. Major resist, if it does bounce, I'd be looking at the open price. 445.35 would be my first target for a bounce, and then it would be 446.38 to fill the gap from Friday. All right, Bitcoin, still not much to talk about just yet with Bitcoin. Getting back to daily cycle tops, and remember, Bitcoin could be forming a bigger weekly top, but so far it's a sideways correction on the, what you have the breakout, and this is still with the volatility a sideways correction. So even though it triggered this sloppier head and shoulders we talked about with Kalani last week, it's still just moving sideways. Tesla, little gap down today. Still going to watch if it sets up, but the only bullish thing for me is if it sets up a double bottom in the short term, but I'm still going to be watching for the continued breakdown. The continued breakdown. And the next major target is roughly, it's a target area of 151.18 to 146.33. There's nothing overly bullish just yet on Tesla. Nvidia, as options 22 mentioned, is in double top territory. It now is valid. So it would need a trade below 841.66 to confirm it, but to trigger it needs a close below there. You'd see the daily rotation zone is out of the way, and looking at the weekly pattern, it would be a pullback potentially into the weekly rotation zone. So that is the only bearish setup so far on Nvidia. What else? So look at GME. That's old. I guess it does have a little mini double bottom potentially. to the penny. To the penny. So that would need, with earnings trigger, you could get a bounce, but it would need a close below 1402. I mean above 1402. Against, that's interesting because it broke pretty key support on Friday. So we're gonna have to see. But that's just an ugly looking chart. That is not a good looking chart. What else? Sounds like you might have to get dry to... Well, I'm still not in the desert. It's just I was talking too fast. That's why this morning. But I actually do pretty good with the dry air. We'll have to see if I do need a humidifier in the short term, or I'll just jump in the pool. What else do we have? Anything? Oh, Boeing. Boeing. Look at this, hitting this very key area. Then the bounce up after this little rebound next week. But I think this needs to carve out still a larger bottoming pattern, because in Boeing, this 198 to 200 is a very key resistance area. This is not a strong bottoming pattern. Now, this is a bounce pattern on getting just completely beat up, but not a strong bottoming pattern just yet. All right, it is in, if you look with the overall harmonics though, the last place it bounced was between at the same area. Now it's with the updated harmonics becoming to the highs back in December. It's between the 50 and the 62, which is a reversal zone. So not surprised to see a bounce, but I'd be, again, watching for another potential rollover play in this and putting in a stronger bottoming pattern over the coming weeks. So this would, from my perspective, would be a bounce play only to set up a potential stronger bottom if it can hold. When will the bull market start? In what? There's the short-term bull. There's been a short to medium-term bull market. Long-term, we're going to need some valuation resets. But there's been a short to medium-term bull market. I mean, since the October lows, that's just not a wonderful-looking chart pattern, though. When you don't get any back and forth, I know people just love to celebrate this, but it's not a stable chart pattern. When would GLO? I've never looked at GLO. When would it become a buy on a weekly time frame? I'd be paying real close attention to it now. It's, for me, again, I'd be watching. It's right at this, right where it's trading now. If it can stay above this level and pull back at all and hold at least the $5 mark, it could get real interesting. Why? Because you see where it based back in July of 23, resistance, and finished a sell-off move. It's now trying to make a larger term. You know, it'll be a double shoulder, but it's trying to, just, if you're looking at this, not even bothering with the head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulders. This is testing very key resistance. If it breaks above this and holds that level, it could be interesting from a setup. Now, I would not give it a lot of room for a stop. Also, it's right at that 12.5% harmonic. So, and look how nicely those harmonics line up. If it really can hold this level and break out, your next target would be 635. My next target would be 635. But again, if it starts losing, especially if it were to break back below 485 on a weekly closing basis, would not want to hold it anymore. That's how I would potentially structure a trade. Cannot give specific trading advice, but that's what I'd be watching for. To break above this key resistance and hold it, especially on a little daily pullback and rotation back up. And then, because you also got some clear path move up here. In the short term, you can also look at for the key targets then on a closing basis. And look at this little cluster right here. So you got 523. We really start breaking above 523. You got 550. What's the exact target? 552. You get a close, and that's how it, on a daily basis, if it can break above this little resistance zone, I'd be looking for it to continue on close above that on a daily basis, and then that shifts your probabilities. And we also start focusing on that 609 to 635 area. That's how I'd structure it, personally. Oh. Well, there's how I'd structure this. Let's see global on TSX. All right, where would I start looking for a weekly buy on this? Well, let's just see. We're right at the open. We'll just go through this. Then I'll take a global weekly buy. I'd be, as long as it holds. Let me just see on the daily. Got the daily. This is, if it pulls back, just looking at this, I don't love this chart. Either it'd have to make a stronger bottoming pattern because it did close below there on the daily. It held on the weekly. So in the short term, without making any, see, it would be a percent B buy above last week's high, but that would be for a bounce play only. I'd be watching for a stronger bottoming pattern, or because that daily close, it would have to pull back even more before I consider it a weekly stronger buy. This is not great besides a potential bounce play only. Well, it's still a bull market. That's why I said long term it's not. It's still got to reset valuations. Okay, but this is a tradable bull market in the short term. Going into, let's just check the tick today. Let's check the tick. Decent tick opening. Decent, not overly weak. So the market's really got to hold this key area. Again, any rally up right now to this 52.85, 52.84, 52.85 is going in the key resistance. I'd be looking for that with a tick pullback, and then let's just see, and then the 52.75 levels have to hold. So, you're welcome, Christoph. Remind me, Christoph, keep watching. It's not the one that I watch, but remind me also next week. Maybe we can look at it again on a weekly basis. All right, that's where we sit today. Remember, things are backloaded this week. I'll double check on the futures, which I didn't do yet, but I know it's Good Friday and the stocks are closed. So we will see. But Sterling's probably correct. The futures probably are closed for Good Friday, just like they're closed for. I don't know why. Are they limited on? No, they're not limited on Easter Monday. I'll go figure it out. All right. Talk to everyone later. Have a wonderful trading day. It's a little broader than the mega cap rally. It's a little broader, but it's very consolidated. Darks. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's very consolidated into a highly correlated mega cap, and there's some other companies that have picked it up, but the valuations just aren't there for a long-term bull. That's why it's still a tradable bull, but not a long-term bull, and I will not be surprised to see a more significant pullback at some point. With that, I will wrap it up for now. Talk to everyone later. Bye for now.